Hey guys, Kurt from Time Machine Transport. Just got done with church, and I'm waiting on my sister to have lunch with her. So I wanted to tell you guys about this truth that the second trainee that I kicked out of my truck. So when I was with the Russian, I knew I was getting my own authority and whatnot. So my cousin Danny, what's up, brother? How you doing? Love you. He watches my videos, and he actually drove a hot shot for us that we bought. And that was back in 2014 when we got our authority. So anyways, my cousin Danny's out in the hot shot, whatever, under our name, but I'm still driving for the Russian SDS Express out of Brown Deer, Wisconsin. And but I'm trained, like I trained my brother to get his CDL. He got his CDL. I trained my cousin. He got his CDL, and my brother ended up backdooring me. Long story. So anyway, so the plan was to buy a truck and trailer, a big truck and trailer, flatbed. And my cousin Dan was going to jump in that truck, and then I was going to train another person, get them their CDL, and then they were going to drive the hot shot. I think that's the best way to do it with drivers, because a hot shot with a 32-foot PJ gooseneck trailer is a good way to break your teeth, right? Or what do they say? Break your teeth, cut your teeth, whatever. So anyway, I took about a week off or so, and my son and I, we went to Mount Rushmore to have some father-son time. And so we're at the hotel, we're leaving, we're going to go explore some more Rushmore, and then we had an appointment or a reservation to go horseback riding. So we're at the hotel. I'm already finished getting ready, and my son's still getting ready. And he says, "I gotta shave, man. God." So I go down to the front desk to ask them, "Hey, listen, we're leaving for the day. Can you guys tidy up the room?" "Sure, absolutely." Blah blah blah. But when I'm walking from our room to the front desk outside of the hotel, we're staying in Keystone, which is Rushmore, South Dakota. So I see the front desk guy, because we've been there for a few days, so I know he's the front desk guy. And him and another guy are talking outside of the door, like having a cigarette. So I walk up to the guy to start asking him, "Hey, can you tidy up room, whatever we were staying in?" And I look over to the guy he's talking to, short little white guy. And he's got a leather jacket on, like Fonzie, right? So Sarah, my wife, hi baby girl, I love you. Her son Aaron, when he was little, the Fonzie would put up his thumbs and go, "Hey." That was kind of like his thing, right? And so her son couldn't do the thumbs because he was just a little guy, but he would stick up both of his index fingers and he'd be like, "Hey," as a kid. It's cute. Anyways, so he's wearing a Fonzie jacket, and he's got a patch, and it says paratrooper on it with a parachute. So I tell him, like, "Oh, you were a paratrooper?" He goes, "Yeah, and I was a ranger." I was like, "Oh, okay, right on." I served my time in an airborne unit. So anyways, he's talking to me or whatever, and I'm like, "Oh," and I say little guy because we had a couple of smaller guys in our unit, 3rd of the 325 over in Vicenza, Italy, and they could hold their own. So just because he's a little white guy doesn't mean like he's unable to perform or train like other bigger guys in the military. So anyways, we get to talking, and I'm still waiting for my son to come down. And he says that he's in Keystone working just for the season. And we had gone in like September, so it was out of season. So it wasn't nearly as busy as the summertime. And so anyways, the guy says, hey, can I get your number? Are you guys going to be here for? I'm like, sure. So he's like, I'd like to have a drink with you. I'd like to buy you a drink. I'm like, oh, sure. Because we kind of talked about he was there, you know, working in some kitchen or something. But he's originally from Rapid City, South Dakota. And he wanted, because I told him I was in trucking and stuff. He goes, oh, I always wanted to get my CDL. So I'm like, oh, okay. Single, no kids, veteran. We have things in common as far as what we did in the military. And so I said, yeah, sure. So I give him my number. He calls me. I put his number in my phone. His name is Lyle Lehman. Excuse me, my mouth's getting dry and I'm hungry. So anyways, he ends up calling me, and my wife and I are about to go to, my son and I are about to go get on the horses, and we're doing like trail riding or whatever. So I answer the phone, and he's like, hey, I'm going to be over at this, you know, restaurant or whatever afterwards. You guys come on over. I said, all right. So we go to this bar and meet him there. And actually, I have to back up. I know I jump around on my truths or my stories. So we had lunch. Oh, no. That's correct. So we went after riding. We went to the bar, and we had something to eat. And it was Lyle Lehman, myself, and my son. We're sitting outside on this patio, and he's telling us, you know, these stories and this and that, and I'm just listening, trying to feel this guy out. So he says that he was medically discharged for being wounded in combat. And I was in Iraq. So I was like, oh, okay. But he definitely isn't my age. This is, like I said, probably back in might have been 2013 or 14. It had to have been 2014 because we had our authority. So, anyways, he tells my son and I that he was in an airport and he went through the metal detector. Now, he had gotten medically discharged from the military, from the Army, for being wounded. He said he was an E6, which is a staff sergeant. I was like, damn, he looks kind of young for that, but I look old for my age, and he looked young for his age. So he says he went through the metal detector, and it went off. So they went over him with the wand to see if he was carrying anything. And he says, no, I still got the bullet in me. So that's why the metal detector went off. And they're like, oh, really? Can we see? So he says he drops his pants right there in the airport to show them. And he's commando, which means he doesn't have any drawers on, right? So he's like, yeah, so I just dropped trowel and I was running commando, man. So I let everybody see my stuff. And I'm like, that's bullshit. That's a story that he heard from somebody else, in my opinion. So my son and I lock eyes and we're like, all right, whatever. So now this guy's on my bullshit radar. So then after we're eating, we start playing some pool. We start getting it in with some booze. And they have a jukebox, so he puts in a bunch of songs. And this Metallica song comes on. I'm not into Metallica. I like rap. I like, hip hop. I like country. And so we're pretty tuned up. And he comes over to me, and the music's pretty loud. And it's my son's shot on the pool table, and he and I are just sitting there. He goes, you guys ever listen to this when you guys go out on missions? I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. So he's like, yeah, we used to listen to this all the time. We'd go out on missions. I'm like, this dude he's not right. So anyways, we leave. Oh, actually, I got to back up. So I went up to the bar to buy a round, and the bartender / owner says to me, is that your buddy? Points to Lyle, and I'm like, no. He goes, just be careful of that guy. I should have known. I should have fucking known. Shame on me. So night's over. We leave. I think we left Rushmore like a day or two after, and I don't hear from the guy. So I'm like right on. So then I tell him where I'm from, from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and that's where I was living at the time. And he calls me, and he says, "Hey, Kurt," he says, you had mentioned when we were together that you would train me to put me in a truck. So he says, I just worked in Keystone for the season, and after that I don't really have much. But I told you I'd like to get my CDL. I should have said absolutely no, but I said absolutely yes. This guy, he was one of the biggest turds in the toilet. So anyways, I tell him, like, hey, I'm out on the road right now, blah, blah, blah. I'll be back at this certain time. When I get back to the house, I'll go ahead and contact you, and we'll get you a bus or whatever, or I'll pick you up in the truck or whatever when I'm out. So I get a call from him a day or two before I was getting back to the house. And he's like, hey, Kurt, he says, I'm on a Greyhound, and I'm going to be getting off in Chicago. Could you have somebody come pick me up? And I'm like, dude, you're just not listening. I mean, I didn't say this, but I'm thinking, dude, I told you I would contact you, when I get home. So anyway, my cousin was home at the time, so I asked him to go and pick this guy up, this Lyle Lehman, and which ended up, I nicknamed him, well, not nicknamed, but I added something to his name. I called him Lying Lyle Lehman. So my cousin goes, picks him up, and he gets him put into a cheap motel. They go to Walmart, get him some food, because the motel had a refrigerator and a microwave, and then I get home. So immediately I jump in my personal car and I head on over to the motel. My cousin is also my cousin calls me, goes, man, you're really gonna train this guy? I'm like, just because he's a weirdo doesn't mean that he's not good to be in a vehicle or be trained to get into a truck. So he's like, all right. He said, well, all right. So we go to this motel. We go across the street to this Mexican restaurant, have some dinner, and we're drinking a little bit. I think I had 1 or 2 beers or whatever. And Lying Lyle Lehman says, yeah, man, he said, can I name my truck? Because I always name our trucks. Like, even my pickup truck here, my wife named it Shelby. And we got Liza as my truck. We got Alice as the other truck. We have Emily as the other truck. We had a Maud. Anyways, so I told him, I said, yeah, I just, I name my trucks because it's kind of good luck for me. And he's like, oh, man, he said, I want to name mine. It was some stupid, road rage warrior or something like that, or I forget exactly what it was. So anyways, I'm like, yeah, sure. My cousin's rolling his eyes. I'm like, oh boy. Anyway, so we're done, and I tell him, hey, listen, I'm gonna be leaving in a few days. I got to take an oversize from Wisconsin down to Vegas. And he's like, oh, can I go with? And I'm like, yeah, you can come with. All right. So anyways, like I said in my first kicking trainee out of the truck, that chick that had the mechanic hands. So in this truck, it had to have been 2014 because the Russian I drove for had bought new trucks. So it was a mid-roof, but it was only a single bunk. So my cousin and I came up with a thing, just lay some pallet boards from the passenger seat to the driver's seat, and then there was a super thick cot mattress, and then a sleeping bag with a couple pillows. I would put the truck in gear, shut the truck off, and then my cousin, because he's short, like this Lyle Lehman guy, and he would sleep across the two front, and it actually worked out really nice. So I asked the Russian, hey, is it okay if I, train this guy? I lied, and I was like, yeah, he's a buddy or whatever. He's like, yeah, sure. Anyways, so we head out, and we're driving, and it's like a 11 something wide or whatever. Don't need a pilot car, and we shut down for the night. And I want to say maybe we were in Kansas or something. So anyways, we make his bed or get his bed ready, and then the next morning we wake up super early, and I told him the night before, hey, we're going to be taking showers tomorrow morning, so that's the plan, and then we're going to leave after that. Okay, Roger. So we wake up, and he's got his Fonzie jacket on. He didn't have a Ranger tab or anything. He just had the paratrooper patch. So anyways, I wake up. I already got my bag packed, my shower bag, and I see him just reach into a big duffel bag that was full. Full. It was packed. He reaches in, and I get a dry mouth whenever I tell these truths. I get kind of worked up. So he grabs a bar of deodorant, and there goes my sister. Hold on once. Actually, no, I'm gonna finish this. Hold on. Darn it. Sister, Jess. I guess my sister she's not all there sometimes, but that's why she's my sister. I love her to death. So anyways, so we, he grabs a thing of deodorant out of his bag and puts it in his leather jacket, his Fonzie jacket. And, he's like, all right, I'm ready. I'm like, you're ready? I'm like, dude, where are your clothes? You got a whole... Oh, they're all dirty. I said, oh, that ain't going to fly. I said, well, change of plans. We're going to go inside the truck stop. You're going to do laundry, and then we're going to take showers, blah, blah, blah. I said, I'm not going to let you wear dirty clothes or the same gear that you have on day after day after day after day. So anyways, he's like, okay. So we go in, take showers, do his laundry, head back out, and we start rolling. No, that was actually in Missouri, not Kansas. So anyway, so now we're driving all day, and that, as our day runs out, it's dark, and this is like October. So his brother calls him. Well, I park the truck, and I do a post trip. He's still talking to his brother, but he's got his brother on the phone, like regular, not on speaker. He doesn't have a headset, so he's just talking to him on a regular line, like a regular phone. And so anyways, I get out, do the post trip, stretch my legs, and I'm going to get back up in the truck, and then we're going to go in the truck stop, eat something or whatever. And as I get up into the truck, he's on speakerphone with his brother. And he says, oh, yeah, Bob, yeah. And then the guy he's talking to, who he says is his brother, he's like, yeah, sorry you can't make it to Mom's funeral, blah, blah, blah. And, but she is sending you some money, and it's like $1,000 or whatever. So I look at him and say, dude, do you want me to put you on a bus and get you back to Rapid City? He's like, no, it's okay. It's all right. I'm like, well, I'm really sorry for your loss. Anyways, he's not as affected by it as you would think one would be about their mom passing away. So next day comes, we're driving. We end up delivering the oversized, and then we deadhead from Vegas to LA. And the Russian's going to have us pick up a container of tires going up to Detroit. So we get loaded with the container at the port, and we boogie out, and it just seems like this load is very, very heavy. So we get up to Barstow, and I go to scale the load, and I'm over on my axles and my gross. So the Russian, of course, doesn't want me to go all the way back to LA to get, to have him take some of this stuff out. He wants me to adjust the fifth wheel, run this, because, you can't run a spread on a 53-foot step deck in California. It's got to be a tandem. So anyways, he says, well, we're gonna have to go back to LA, and we're going to have to have him take out some of these tires. So anyway, I'm going over all this stuff with Lyle. He's taking pictures of the truck and the trailer, and I'm like, oh, he's getting into it, Something was still off about the guy. So he, we're reweighing, and nothing's happening. So I'm like, well, we got to leave out of here at 3 o'clock in the morning so we can get down to LA, because we're going to run into thick traffic. And so we had to go to this place to get them to unload a bunch of the tires. And so he's like, oh, okay. So next morning comes, we get ready. We head out 4 in the morning, and we're on 14, I think, in California. And it's thick traffic already. It's 5 in the morning now. And I hear him say really loud, traffic sucks. Super loud. But I thought it was kind of odd, because he's just like, traffic sucks, really super loud. And I'm like, again? So anyways, it dawns, I didn't have Facebook then. So I text my cousin Danny. He and or his wife and he had a Facebook account. I did not, like I said. I said, do me a favor, man. I said, go on Facebook and put this dude's name in. So I spell it, send it to him. I know, shame on me for texting and driving, right? So, my cousin texts me, and he's like, dude, you are not going to believe this. And I'm like, what? He goes, dude, you aren't even in the truck with him. That's his truck. He's telling all of his friends on Facebook that he is driving your truck. You're not even in it. It's just him in his pictures. And in his comments or whatever, you're not even, he says he even named his truck. And he's telling everybody about sliding the axle and the fifth wheel to reweigh. He's like, dude, you are not in the truck. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. And he's like, no, man. So I'm like, oh, this son of a bitch. Anyway, so now my bullshit radar is at its peak. And we end up getting down, we get unloaded, and we are now sitting down by the port for whatever. I think it was just thick traffic, and I was waiting for the traffic to die down or something. So as we're sitting there, I had reached out to a cop friend and guy I was stationed with. And I asked him, hey, can you go ahead and, I won't say his name. I said, can you go ahead and do a background check on this guy? He's like, absolutely. So I give him his name. He runs him. He goes, dude, are you in the truck with him? I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, he's a felon, first off. I don't judge you for being a felon. I could have been a felon many, many times. Unfortunately, I'm not wearing it like a badge of honor, but we're all different we're different people sometimes in different parts of our lives. So anyways, he's sitting there, and I'm like, well, I want you to tell me the truth about you, Lyle, because you're not telling me the truth. And if you lie to me, I'm going to leave you right here in LA. If you tell me the truth, we'll go from there. So he's looking at me. I said, don't lie to me, dude. I already know everything. I know you're a felon and everything. He's like, well, yeah. He said, I said, how many felons do you have? Don't lie to me. He says 2. And I said, and there's no way you were in the airborne unit, because this guy's real sluggish. He's not high speed. And I said, if you weren't in an airborne unit, or you didn't go to airborne school, you definitely didn't go to Ranger school. And he's like, yeah, well, I have 2 felonies. I was staying with a friend, and I gotta back up. So when he was talking to his brother on speakerphone, which was weird. First you're on your without speaker, and then when I get back in the truck, you're on speaker. So when I asked him, I said, do you need me to put you on a bus? Damn it, my mouth is dry. Do you need me to put you back on a bus? He's like, no. I'm like, all right. And then so he's talking to his brother, and he's telling him, he's like, so you can send the check to Kurt's address. So I give him the address, because now I can hear this guy on speakerphone, obviously. And he's like, what's your address? And I tell him 2112 South 35th Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53215. He repeats it, but he gets it all screwed up. He's like 1212 34th Street. I'm like, no. So I am literally doing it so 2112 South, and he screwed it up the whole time. Like every time he repeated it, it was a different number. And then I'm like, what the fuck? So anyway, so I know something's fishy. And so I put it in the back of the mind. So now fast forward to outside the port. So come to find out, Mr. Lying Lyle Lehman was staying with a friend. He clipped some checks from his friend and forged them. And his friend filed, he pressed charges. So it was a felony. His second felony came from, he snuck into his aunt's horse barn or stable, stole her like $5,000 saddle, like some sort of show saddle or something. And he didn't make it like 2 weeks in basic training. He got dishonorably discharged. And my jaw just drops. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So now I know this guy, I got to get this guy out of the truck. So I tell him, well, the Russian, you can't have a felon in a semi. That's just what I told him. I said, so if I don't want to get caught with you in the truck, so you're going to have to go back to Rapid City. So he's like, all right. Because I confronted him with all the Facebook stuff and everything. And so we get back up to Barstow. There's a Greyhound bus depot in Barstow. I already knew that. And so I get him over to the bus place or whatever, Greyhound. It's at night now. And I go up to the window, and the ticket was like $275. But I'm like, dude, I would have paid $2,075 to get this guy out of my fucking truck. So anyways, I paid for the ticket. There's this black lady behind the glass, the thick bulletproof. I don't think it was bulletproof, but it was a pretty big, thick window, like whatever, to purchase the tickets. And anyway, so I'm like, good riddance, man. And this motherfucker had the nerve, the audacity, the gall to say, hey, Kurt, you think I can get $20 from you, man? I don't know how I'm going to eat and this and that. And I screamed. I was like, you get the fuck out of my face. And the lady behind the glass was like stunned, like, damn, she thought I was just going to put my hands on him right there. But I also have to back up again because I had told Lyle Lehman that, and you guys should look him up on Facebook and give him hell. He's a poser. He's a fraud. And I had told him, I said, well, yeah, if your brother, mails us the check, I said, as soon as we get it, I'll have, if I'm not home, I'll have my mom, because she was doing my bank stuff, said I'll have her endorse it, pay to the order of, and then when it clears, I'll give you the $1,000 out here on the road cash. He's like, yeah, okay, great. But I knew something was up. So I, when I take him to the bus stop and then, pay for the ticket, and then he has a nerve to ask me for $20 so he can eat. I said, you know, get the fuck out of my face. And then he says, swear to God, what about that $1,000, that check that's coming to your house? I said, dude, there ain't no check. There is no check. There never was any check. You were trying to scam me. And he's like, no. I screamed again, dude, get the fuck out of my face. Anyways, that dude couldn't run fast enough to the bus stop with his fucking duffel bag. Anyway, so that was the time and then I gave him hell on Facebook, or I had my cousin do it or whatever. Or no, maybe I think I created a Facebook account just for that reason. But it was like a couple years later. I didn't do it right then and there. And I remember looking him up or whatever, and he had pictures of his you know, him with his leg cap on and his BDUs or whatever. And he's a poser, and all these people that were commenting on his pictures, oh, Lyle, we're so proud of you, blah, 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 you've come so far, and all this stuff. He's a liar, he's a poser. So anyways, that's the second one I kicked out of my truck. And then there's a third one that I have, but I'll save that for another story. So anyways, have a great Sunday. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I got to go eat lunch with my sister. Ciao.